Hi, friends. I'm Katie.
And I'm Lauren, and welcome to Okay, But Did You Know? A podcast where we talk about the TV and media that we love with a friend who's never seen it before.
Today we're recapping and chatting about Bob's Burgers Season 6, Episode 17, The Horse Rider-irer, and Episode 18, Secret Admiral-irer. I'm not... I
Admiral.
I
Is it
can't do it.
Admiral. Is it Admiral-irer?
I think so? I...
Oh, no, there's another R in
I'm
there.
very Southern, and we
Admiral-irer.
don't do R's
It.
very well.
No, and this. I was gonna make a joke, but we established in the last episode that you haven't seen 30 Rock. For those who have seen 30 Rock, it's like saying the rural juror.
No.
That's
Have...
that's an ongoing joke that it's a movie that one of the characters is in, but no one knows what it's called because she's like the Rogers, the way she keeps saying it,
Mhm.
like without any enunciation. It is the rural juror, like someone that's on a jury
So,
in a rural setting.
rural is one of those
Uh huh.
words on the list of words to make Southern people say that does not sound like a word.
Yeah, it makes
There's
sense.
quite a
And
few of those. So,
the character in the movie, like the movie within the TV
mhm.
show, she is Southern. She plays a Southern lawyer, I think.
So having me say things that are just does not help me because I can barely say rural. God
Going
damn, I
forward, you can
can't
just
say
say the
it.
number. Going forward, I'm giving you permission to just say the season and episode
For
numbers.
this episode, yes, because at this point,
Yes.
season 6, episode 17, we're just gonna go hobby horse at this point. So
Yep, it's the hobby horsing time. It's
hobby
Bob's
horse.
Burgers and the hobby horsing time.
The Belcher parents are finally convinced to let Tina attend a horse camp, and she goes to the Horsing Around Riding Center day camp. She says goodbye to her imaginary horse, Jericho, and begins her journey with a difficult horse named Plops. I can't speak tonight.
You just listened to me speak with a British accent for 50 minutes. I think you're okay.
And then lots of R's. She struggles
All
to
the alls.
She struggles to bond with Plops and becomes frustrated that her dream isn't going the way she hoped. After a week of trying to bond with Plops, Tina decides to ride Jericho for her riding exhibition instead. Linda is upset Jean and Louise aren't getting the same opportunity to also attend camp and creates Restaurant Camp. She sets up various activities throughout the week, and the Pesto children join in. On the night of the campout, Linda overhears the children say they are only pretending to enjoy restaurant camp to get out of work. After Bob shuts down camp, Jean and Louise realize that they miss it, and Linda gets the kids to put on a camp show to keep Old Man Belcher from shutting everything down. Teddy struggles with the fry situation since the Belchers use the fry money to send Tina to camp. And we always start off with puns. What did you get for the vacant storefront?
That was nice knockers, elegant door knockers.
Why are we talking about breasts so much tonight?
We barely talked about the corsets. We talked about them briefly, but we did not talk about them as much as I think we wanted to.
I mean,
It was
things
the
were
Jessica
said.
Rabbit, and it was the Jessica Rabbit, and I had to take it in a little bit at the hips, but it looks better on me, don't you think?
Yeah, but the Jessica Rabbit was anyways, the pest control truck.
That one's funny though, because like Lana would say her breasts aren't that big; it's just the corsets. Anyway,
uh,
that was dead bug walking exterminators, which is
uh,
fine. Oh, it's best.
and burgers of the day.
We got 3 in this episode. We have chutney. The front door burger comes with mango chutney. We have the Your Kimchi the Best burger.
Mm-hmm.
And teriyaki a new one burger.
I like that one. Terry, you a new
That
one.
was a good one. Yeah.
Did you happen to pick up whose voice was Jericho?
I didn't pick it up, but I did see it in the credits. It was Paul Rudd, right?
Yes. Why you gotta look at the credits,
Okay.
man?
I was waiting for the next episode to start.
But yes, it's Paul Rudd. Which is just so funny to me. I love that it's just randomly Paul Rudd because he doesn't do a lot
why
of
not?
this. Obviously the title is a reference to the horse whisperer. That is again referenced in the episode when Tammy tells Tina, "You're such a horse ass kisperer." I am so sick of ers.
There's so many R's.
Why are there so many R's?
Why are there so many R's? Why are there eggs?
And of course the shit.
Right before recording this, we both went, I love that we're both in such like a get stuff done attitude, and then this happens.
And then the R's happen. So the motto of Horsing Around Writing Center is Where a horse is a horse, of course, of course. And this is from the lyrics to the theme song of the American sitcom Mr. Ed. The episode originally
Mhm.
aired 4 days before the death of the show's human star, Alan Young, who played Wilbur, Mr. Ed's owner.
Oh, okay. I knew that was a reference to something because
Yeah.
I've also heard it in other things. But I love that she said like a horse is a horse, of course, which is a reference that I don't know.
We also have Teddy yelling, "The power of fries compels you," a reference to The Exorcist, where they
Yes.
yelled, "The power of
Hmm.
Christ compels you." I love that scene personally just because it's Teddy. Like,
He was so intent. I was like, "You're a handyman. Can you not fix the fryer if you want fries that
maybe,
badly?" Apparently, he
yeah,
can't.
but I think restaurant equipment's a little bit harder.
Yeah, I think he's more like handyman, like fixing walls and stuff.
Yeah. The pine cone that Gene turns into Mr. Pinecone is probably the same pine cone that Mudflap gives the family at the end of Wag the Hog after her nature retreat.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
Other items seen in the pile are a sock, stay
Hmm.
tabs from beverage containers, a remote, Lego bricks, a lucha wrestling action figure, a bar of soap, a bath plug, a stapler, and a half-eaten taco. All
Okay.
these things apparently will be enough to send Tina to horse camp.
I would believe that.
Uh,
I like that they were trying to
they
help.
were. They were really trying to help their sister.
Yeah.
Jean and Louise saying "yup" and "mm-hmm" together is a reference when Hank, Dale, Bill, and Boomhauer drink beer together in King of the Hill. And this episode marks the first appearance of a Native American in the series, whenever she's talking about the horse camp that she doesn't go to, because he
Hmm.
blesses them with a
Yeah.
name. And we love our lines. I'm just going to start off. Do people normally read their diary entries out loud?
Oh hell nay.
I'm not imaginary. You're the imaginary one, not me. You are. Jericho, please, don't start that again. Last time you said it, it really messed me up.
It's just like getting on a horse. Sorry, I don't have any analogies.
Please don't look so sad. We're trying.
Go back to law school, Matlock. I don't know why that would make me laugh so much.
I don't have any other lines written down, but like this episode is a fever dream.
It really is.
I also want to know, why does the Italian restaurant have fries?
Some do. It depends on if like, cause okay, if Jimmy Pesto's is like the ones that are up here, a lot of them are like Italian restaurants, but also kind of pubs. I did have one more line actually. Just didn't highlight it. It's like the taste of those crispy fries, absorbing my sad. Oh, I like the taste of those crispy fries, absorbing my sadness.
Look, I understand that. I feel that.
Yeah.
But no, I used to work for an Italian restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
And we didn't have French fries. No French fries. Not down here. It was like a nice place though.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I could say that Jimmy Pesto's is like a nice place.
No, I would put it in the same realm of like the restaurant that I'm thinking of, where it's like kind of it's a local place.
Yeah.
It's it's also a bar, pub, tavern, whatever. It's like their menu. It's mostly Italian food, but they have burgers, fries, sandwiches, stuff like that.
But this episode's an interesting look into Tina's imagination.
Yeah. I did appreciate though when she went into the imaginary backstory of how she met Jericho, the aspect ratio changed.
It did.
Yeah, it went from like full screen to widescreen. I'm like, I appreciate because now Agatha all along because like the aspect ratio on those scenes mattered. I was like, now I'm like always looking at that now. I'm
Mhm.
like, interesting choice.
Same thing happens in Catching Fire.
Oh yeah.
Remember that when she goes into the
I
games,
do.
the aspect ratio changes.
Yeah, she's going up.
It's so cool how they do it. It's like my favorite
Yep.
one. And when it comes
Mm-hmm.
to like those noticing that difference is just the way that they do it. So if you've
Yeah.
ever if you've never noticed before, when you watch Catching Fire again, when she's going up the tube, watch how the screen changes. It because it doesn't just
Yep.
like change immediately, it grows with her. Um
Yep. It's very cool.
it's a fun film. Wait, what's the word for that?
Cinematography,
Cinematography? Cinematography.
maybe.
I think.
Let's go with that.
Yeah. We know what we're talking about. We're just a TV media podcast. We know what we're talking about.
Yeah, we know about cinematography. It's fine.
No, yeah. Makes me want to. I had like a film bro in my restaurant that I work in the other night talking about things,
Mm-hmm.
and I very much me and like my friend were treated as y'all don't know what you're talking about. You're too young. And I was like, dude, I'm 30. And then he started talking about like some pretty old movies, and we're like, oh yeah, we've seen
Hmm.
those. And he's like, no, there's no way you've seen it. Yes, we have.
Well, my own father will start talking about something that, was around in my childhood as if I'd never seen it before. And I went, you know how old I am.
Right?
Like, he starts talking about like cassette tapes one time. He starts describing, I'm like, I know what cassette tapes are.
Mm-hmm. I loved
Like,
my
I'm not that young.
I loved my friend during this conversation we had though, because the guy started talking about the original Ben Hur. And she
Hmm.
goes, oh yeah, like the same guy who did the Ten Commandments. And he just looks up like, oh, you know what that is? And we're like, we're not dumb. We just
For for people that question, our taste in movies, the first movie that by the time this episode's out, you will have seen our episode about,
Mhm.
What's Up, Doc, is from the 70s. My two first initial picks are from the 70s and 80s, respectively.
Yeah. Mine aren't old, but
But still,
I can only make Lauren read and watch so much horror. It
this
is
is
I
true.
can't push that envelope too much because horror is a different situation there.
Is this considered horror?
No, that's a thriller.
Oh, okay. Either way, that's fine.
That's
For
Mothman
context,
though.
okay. For context, I'm holding up a copy of Bittersweet and the Hollow by Kate Pearsall, which was a direct recommendation from Katie.
I love it so much. And if this is coming out in January, book 2 has just come out and it's called Lies on the Serpent's Tongue. It came out around my birthday. On my birthday, I think. Or around my birthday.
Is your birthday? Is your birthday a Tuesday?
Yeah. We're gonna
Because if it's not, then it can't be out on your birthday.
Well, I don't remember when my birthday is, okay? Because I'm an adult.
That sounds like a you problem.
That is a me problem. No, okay, so it comes out like a couple days before my birthday. But anyways,
Gotcha.
I never know when my birthday is gonna be. You know how it is. You get you wait till you get closer, and you're like, what day of the week is it gonna be this time? It is what it
M-
is.
my birthday is the day before a major holiday. I'm kind of always affronted with what day of the week it is.
Mine's always around Martin Luther King Jr. Day,
Mm.
but it's always right after Christmas, so I'm just kind of like everybody kind of forgets.
Yeah, I'm the day before Halloween, so
We all know when yours is.
everyone knows because everyone knows when Samhain is. So
So did you know what hobby horsing was before you watched this?
unfortunately, I did, but it was like through it was through a series of TikToks of like someone that was making fun of hobby horsing.
Mhm.
Is how I found out about it. But yes, unfortunately, I knew ahead of time what hobby horsing was, and as soon as I saw Tina at the very end doing this, I'm like, so she's just hobby horsing now. Okay,
I need
how
to
does one
get.
describe this?
I actually had to look it up to like I'm like let me look this up to actually speak it correctly, or I'm going to say it in a
Okay.
very offensive way possibly. But hobby horsing is a hobby with gymnastic elements, which uses a hobby horse, also known as a stick horses.
It's a
Um,
horse head on a
it's
stick.
a horse head on a stick, and you literally, quite literally, like run around holding your horse and doing different jumps and different trots, um, just without the real live horse, with a hobby horse.
I'm not
It's
yucking anyone
I
else's
am
yum.
not. I am not. Look, it's better than people who play Quidditch. I feel
Yeah,
like
it's very kink based. Been talked tonight. We're not yucking anybody's yum, but
what is wrong with us?
But again, not to make anyone justify their opinions or their hobbies. Because if you find enjoyment in this and you find it's a physical exercise, you're
That's
outside,
great. I'm
enjoy it,
happy
whatever.
for you.
I love it. I love that for you, genuinely. But why?
I, you know, I like I said, it's up there with Quidditch for me. With the people who are grown adults pretending to ride around on brooms and play Quidditch. I just don't.
Hmm.
I personally don't understand it. Love it for you. I I why?
It's all in the same realm for me as LARPing. Like
Oh, I can't say much on that. My uncle was a LARPer.
like the only time I ever and it wasn't real LARPing. I did
Mhm.
something with a history class for extra credit. I was in an ancient world history class in college, and we were talking about Greco-Roman warfare, as one does in those types of classes.
I love
And
talking about okay, sorry. I'm a history nerd.
no, I know. And so for extra credit, my teacher put together a time for us all to go out on the field by our class. Like it wasn't during class; it was an extra time. And if we wanted to make shields, we could based off of the stuff that she like the dimensions she gave us. We could try and make shields. But basically, we had one half of us created like a phalanx with like all our shields and our swords, and
Hmm.
like we you know we mimicked a battle with dowels and PVC pipes.
So my uncle used to be into LARPing when I was a kid, and
Hmm.
while he lived with my grandmother, um, and so he did have a nice big closet, full of warhammers and long swords and spears that he made. So as children, this is probably why I'm such a fantasy nerd. But as
Hmm.
children, my siblings and I would fight him with them
Gotcha.
in the front yard. Um,
See, mine was at least for extra credit.
Mine was to attack my uncle. Um, the Warhammer was cool, okay? Like
I believe it.
I only made it 5 foot. Can you imagine like 2 foot Katie with a Warhammer made out of PVC and duct tape? So I really can't be like, why do you hobby horse? I can't, I'm realizing I
Wait,
need to shut up.
but I mean, okay, you weren't the one dressing up and creating a character and doing this with other people, but so I think you can still be in the level of why, because in my case, it really
Yeah.
was just for extra credit. And like I've cosplayed, I've gone to events like that.
Yeah.
I don't
We
like,
get the
I don't,
cosplaying aspect.
I get the yeah, but it's the case of like, and also I'm pretty sure again, LARPing is more or less just a case to be at a swingers party, basically in costume these days. So
Wait, what?
yeah, LARPing is a big thing in like in the swinger and polyamory
No
community.
way.
It's all in the whole Ren Fair situation.
I've never been to Ren Fair.
It's
I'm the
all that's all
fantasy nerd and I've never been to Ren Fair.
it's all like yeah, the Ren Fair LARPing circuit is a big thing with swinging and
I thought that was
polyamory.
just Dragon Con, but okay.
That too.
The more you know.
The more you know.
We barely talked about the actual episode because I feel like it opened
We
up
really did.
so much
It
other
always
things.
does. I liked restaurant camp. I thought that that was a concept of Linda. She's trying to get the kids to,
Yeah.
it's a thing of she wants to make sure they feel included in a time where they don't feel excluded.
Yeah.
It's like I get what she's doing. She's giving them. She wants to give them an experience that. Oh, this was another line I wrote down. That I didn't say before. It's like full disclosure. I have never been to camp. Promising start.
Oh.
So she's basing everything off of camp movies and stuff like that. Which, but still, she gave the kids an excuse to not work, which may or may not have made Bob's life worse, especially once Andy and Ellie show up.
I'm just thinking about the two separate times I went to camp and they were both very, very different and still not a normal camp experience.
No, I never went. I never did like a day camp or a sleepaway camp. I did my summer enrichment program thing, which was just at our school. So,
I did two different sleepaway camps, but one I was like 10, 11 years old and it was church camp and
mm.
lots of sleep deprivation. They do that to you. And then I was a teenager after I came out and we did a sleepaway camp on base for ROTC and so they put all the girls in in one building and all the boys in another building but there were showers and I'm just going to end that there. They put a ton of teenagers together
Mm-hmm.
in barracks.
I know exactly where you're going with this.
All I'm going to say. So,
Yep.
my camp experiences are not normal.
Yeah, you and I have very different summer experiences.
Very different summer experiences.
Because like I did, the main thing that I did with the summer enrichment program, like there was like swimming lessons and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like for middle school and high school, or at least until 10th grade. So for like 4 or 5 years, I did like the musical theater program, which was instead of being like a 2 week session, it was the entire 6 weeks that was summer enrichment. So it was basically like theater day camp.
Fun.
Because we did theater activities. We always had like a theater Olympics thing where we would like go into teams and like create skits and dances based off of prompts that the instructors gave us. And then throughout, like that was just like the first like week, because with their usually 9 times out, or I guess 9 times out of 10, 4 times out of 5, because that's how many times, or 3 times, every time but once. The script didn't show up by the first week. Like they ordered like the scripts from the company, like that they got the rights from it, but they never showed up. But they always had like some like photocopied things of music, that way they could start auditions and stuff like that, so they could figure out who's doing what. But it was always a case of like we had to do the theater Olympics in week 1 because we had no scripts.
Yeah, the church camp was like a sleepaway camp, but all the normal sleepaway camp stuff you did except Jesus. Like girls had to wear t-shirts over their swimsuits and we had a lot of like we had to make a skit, a Jesus skit.
Mm,
So that was interesting. And then you go into like my high school experience of camp where they're like pretty much got to go and LARP as the military and eat MREs and, you
mm,
know, everything without pretty much do everything the military does just without weapons.
mhm. Yeah, that's fair.
So, I have a weird childhood, man.
Yeah. Yeah, and in my case, over in on 4 separate occasions over the course of about 5
Yeah.
weeks, I was with a group of people that we put together an entire junior version of a musical in the case of 5 weeks, like, from, like, beginning rehearsal process through the end. We had a sizable show we had, like, a very presentable show by the end of it, and the first 2 shows were, like, these weird shows that were, like it was, like, just from a company that wrote shows for, like, for middle school age kids. So the first
Mhm.
one was the Nifty 50s. It was
Oh.
very, like it was set in the 50s, and it was very, like, what Grease like with that kind of setup, like what you would expect of that. The second one was called Groovy. It was set in the late 1960s, and it was basically a very sanitized fictionalization of the creation of the Woodstock Music Festival.
Very
Um,
sanitized.
very
Oh
sanitized.
my.
Very very sanitized. In the first one, I was like one of like the random like narrator soloists in that one. The second time, I played a journalist. Um, who was I don't know. I had that one was very comedy forward. That role was
Mhm.
very comedy forward. And then we did I don't recommend this. We did the junior version of Once on This Island,
What is
which
that?
I so Once on This Island is a show like the main version of it. It's a Little Mermaid retelling. It's the same kind of idea where the main character she's put on a quest by the gods to find out if love can overpower death, and it's through the real show, the main one that you can find slime tutorials of from the most recent Broadway version. It's very much about an interracial relationship because it's set
Mhm.
on a Caribbean island. So it's about a girl who's like of like the locals of like the indigenous people versus a man who's like born of like the immigrants, and like the conquerors. And she saves him. She falls in love. Very racially coded. The junior version says nothing about race. It's just about the people who have money and the people who don't. The people who live in the hotel and the people that don't. That one I was a narrator in that one, but that one I was on stage the entire time. The way we staged that, like the storytellers are pretty much on stage the entire time with the exception of like 2 songs.
My childhood doesn't sound
Um
that weird anymore.
no, it doesn't. But the last one I was in, this is the best one because the last one, this was what began my understanding that if when I'm in these things, I get to play the old lady 9 times
Yeah.
out of 10. Because my last one was the junior version of Guys and Dolls, in which I played like General Cartwright, who's like the woman of like the Salvation Army, like the lady that like comes
Mhm.
in and like is gonna shut them down kind of thing. But this was the best part of it is we were talking about it, and this was the director she'd worked with us before, so she knew what I could do comedy wise, and so she asked me, could I do a voice that was reminiscent of Julia Child? Like I was like 14 and I did it. And like to be fair, the first time I did it, like I did one of the lines, like here's a taste of what I do now, like like I'm Julia Child. Bon appetit. Like that's more or less how my voice does it now. But I did one of the lines with that kind of very high melodic sort of voice. From the back of the house, you could hear our director howling with laughter. So I think I stopped him like, "You have any notes?" She went, "No, keep going. You're fine."
Um, on that note, what did you
So yeah,
rate this?
on the note of 14-year-old me doing Julia Child impressions, I gave it a 7 for plot. I thought it was a little disjointed, but not terribly disjointed. It was fine, and I didn't really care for the fact that the instructor kind of intentionally gave Tina
Mhm.
the difficult horse. That
Plops.
wasn't I like just because she's knowledgeable of horse parts does not mean she's knowledgeable of how to ride a horse or how to care
Yeah.
for a horse and all of that. So I thought maybe having an intentionally difficult horse for beginners is a bad idea in general.
Mhm.
And it gets 8s for character and plot or character and personal. So because I liked what Linda was doing for Jean and Louise. Tina ultimately decides to hobby horse with her imaginary horse Jericho. So altogether,
Paul
this one gets
Rudd.
a 23. Paul Rudd, she gets to hobby horse with Paul Rudd. So altogether, it gets a 23. Like not terrible score, perfectly fine.
I gave character and personal 9s, and I
Okay.
gave plot 8 because I'm with you on that. Like the instructor is just like, dude, do your job.
Yeah.
Just do your job. So I gave this a 26.
Okay.
Oh boy. Who knows what kind of conversations this will bring up? But we're on to episode 18, Secret Admiral-irer. I'm not even going to try
No, I
because
told I told you you could stop.
Tina is volunteering at the Elegant Doily retirement home with her Thunder Girl troop, and she is paired with Meryl. She helps Meryl read through her mail and finds a letter from an old flame from her past, Admiral Peter Wilcox. Meryl decides against writing him back because she believes she is too old for romance. Tina writes him back anyways, wanting to prove true love exists for everyone. The Admiral writes back, and Tina sets up the two lovebirds to recreate the night of the dance when they met. Meryl needs her pearls for the special night, but they end up stolen. Louise suspects Joel has stolen them and that he is pretending to be the Admiral. The kids get their dad to dress up as the Admiral and give Meryl fake pearls, but the real Admiral shows up and they discover Meryl misplaced the pearls instead. A group of chefs dine at Bob's Burgers and are very impressed, and they ask to bring their group of chefs by after work to wind down. While he enjoys bonding with the other chefs, Bob struggles to keep up and becomes very sleep deprived. And what did you get for the vacant storefront?
Don't go chasing water beds. Sorry, I had to.
No, it's too good. Because, of course, the note is it's a play on TLC's Waterfalls.
Don't go chasing waterfalls.
And then we have the pest control truck.
You mouse remember this, exterminators.
It's a play on the line from the song As Time Goes By.
Yes. You must remember this.
Burgers of the day.
Remember that I just sang that from We Watch What's Up Doc, by the way.
Oh, okay.
We have the On Nuts burger, comes with peanut butter.
All right.
And the Glass Fromagerie burger.
I know how much you love to talk about the Glass Menagerie.
Because I just love
Tennessee Williams?
I love Tennessee Williams so much.
Yeah, I think I would eat a burger with peanut butter though. I would.
Yeah, I mean, I could see like a peanut butter sauce situation,
right?
like
Like a
maybe straight
pad
up peanut
thai.
butter might be like a pad thai kind of thing. I think that'd be fine. The cheese foam and ketchup gel of the other one, maybe not so much.
That's understandable. I forgot to do a thing, so don't judge me here.
Okay.
Oh, that's her. Sorry. So we have Cloris Leachman as Meryl, and she's been in everything.
Oh, I should have figured that out.
She's been this woman has like the most amazing.
But this is gonna sound terrible. I forgot she was still alive when this came out.
Oh, that does sound terrible.
Because
I loved her
she's
character.
not still alive, right?
No, I think she has passed.
Okay.
I will double check. She died in 2021.
Okay.
I loved her in Spanglish. I think is my
She's so good in
favorite role
Spanglish.
is of hers is since I love Spanglish. It's such a good movie.
She's so good in that. And she's so good in The Nanny
Oh my god, yes.
when she plays Maxwell's old nanny.
And then we have Joe Lo Truglio as Lionel, and David Herman is our Joel, because him and H. John Benjamin are just like competing to see who can voice the most characters in Bob's Burgers at this point.
Sounds good. Sounds about right.
This is the second episode that has been co-written by H. John Benjamin, the first one being The Land Ship. And like The Land Ship, he co-wrote this episode with Holly Schlesinger.
Gotcha. Sorry, I can't hear Landship anymore without thinking of Thorfinn.
I know.
Landship.
We've heard you say
Landship.
car.
I've heard you say leather.
And
Watch Ghost on CBS. It's a good show.
We'll talk about it. Don't worry.
Yeah.
The stores that are seen in the establishing shot are Not Awful Falafel and You Book Marvelous.
Yes, I saw that one.
I don't have a ton of fun facts for this one just because there aren't many. This is a very interesting episode, I feel.
Yeah.
And I just only have like 3 lines written down. The first one is soak up their wisdom and sample their puddings.
Gotta go spend time with the elderly. You mean mom and dad?
Lynn, you're letting them do this to you again. No, Bob. No, I can do it. I need a pencil and a paper and nobody talk.
Bjork's hard lemonade.
I hope they have weird old babies.
Yeah. If you're lonely, you could get a pet. I have one more.
Okay.
They're not as handsy outsy with the meds as they used to be.
That poor woman, though. Poor Meryl.
She really just wanted some quiet, but it's the fact of when she said I could read to you, and she said, "You could read my mail." I'm like, I'm getting flashbacks because my grandmother makes us do that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and like not that we live close to
Mhm.
her, like we live within 50 minutes without traffic, but like we don't see her that often. Like enough so that like we can read her mail on a regular basis. Like it ends up being like a stack of mail by the time we see her. So I was just like, oh, I wrote down, read her the mail. Oh dear, the flashbacks. 9 times out of 10 though, like the mail, it's junk, and like so like we'll read it and just go like junk, junk. Give this to somebody else, junk. I'll do this for you, junk.
Oh my god.
Because that's all we get. That's all anyone gets in their mail anymore is junk.
And her just be like, "Can you read me the menu again?" I'm like, "Why would you want a menu read to you?"
Is this the sushi menu?
But she comes back every day, and instead of bringing something else to do, like check the mail quick and then do something else, she doesn't. She just
Mm-hmm.
comes to read the mail, and I'm like, Tina, come on, man.
I did go. I wrote, no, Tina, do not catfish the Admiral. Bad, Tina.
And yet she did it anyways. But
Yes, she did.
but Joel is such a bad person. Like
Yeah.
that's $100 a month that he's like, let me go cash in. That he's
Yeah.
every week going to get.
Well, because like, so he's doing that, and it's still a thing of like her when she said, don't spend it all in one place, and he went like, I probably will because it's $25. You're there every week, dude.
That's how much a year?
$100 a week. That's
No,
$5,200.
$25 a week. $100 a
Oh,
month.
sorry, $25 a week. Okay, so that's $1,200.
Yeah, but that's still $1,200 that she's just
Yeah,
spending on him. And okay, men are annoying. Like
men are the worst.
I love Sergeant Bosco being there though, and he's just like, stop doing this, and he backs me and goes, "Oh, hello, mother. I have more
He
important
is.
things to do."
He sucks, even though they're telling what they believe to be the truth.
Yeah,
He still sucks.
it's Bosco. He.
Yep.
So I want to like touch on the chef lifestyle.
I had a feeling. I literally I wrote down Katie's gonna have lots to say about restaurant culture.
So restaurant culture, except for your mom and pops, because mom and pops tend to close a little bit earlier. I have worked in every type of restaurant you can think of.
Mm-hmm.
I've worked in a dive bar. I've worked in a like corporate owned restaurant. I've worked in a Asian fusion restaurant. I've worked in an Italian restaurant. I've worked in high end dining. I now work in a wine bar. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's a very vast amount of different types of places. But in
Yep.
all of them, there's a similar trend of night owls.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't. There's. I don't want to say that they all have the energy that they do for the same reason because that's a stereotype, but also it is very rampant
Mm-hmm.
within um, especially high-end restaurants.
Yeah.
I've seen it firsthand many times.
Mm-hmm.
They're
Yep.
not using espresso.
Mm-mm.
Just saying, it's not
No, they're
espresso.
not. No, it's not. It's a different kind of powder.
It's a different kind of powder, and it's white. And I'm not saying that this is what these guys are doing or anything like
They're
that, but
using baking powder.
yeah,
That's baking
and
powder, right?
it's
That
baking
makes sense.
powder. That's baby laxative, and and like I said, this is from personal experience that I've seen within the community. I've been worked in
Mm-hmm.
restaurants for over 5-6 years.
Yeah.
I myself can't like never partake in anything like that. I have a heart condition. Like no, thank
Yeah,
you.
that would be bad. Baking
It
powder
has
is
been
very bad for
offered
your
to
heart.
it has been offered to me in my time in
Mm-hmm.
restaurants, like flat out be like, "Hey, you want to?" And I'm like, "No, I'm good. I'm good. I don't need that." Because once again, I have a heart condition. No, thank
Yes.
you. So yeah, that's how you can go from working a shift because when you work what I do, usually you're not in until the evening. You don't start your
Mm-hmm.
day at 10
Yep.
o'clock in the morning. A lot of chefs have to come in it by like 10.
Mm-hmm.
And that's if they're not like chefs who are going to get their own supply because they mentioned the fish market, how they're
Yeah.
like ending their night at the fish markets. Fish markets are like first thing in the morning, 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning type situations, which
Yeah.
means they've not
Mm-hmm.
gone to sleep yet.
Yeah.
Um, and then you have to start prep as early as like 10 o'clock in the morning some mornings for a dinner that doesn't start until 5 o'clock. It
Mm-hmm.
takes all day. And then you're
Yep.
up all night. And then
Mm-hmm.
so that's where that a lot of people end up doing that.
Yeah.
And Bob trying to keep up.
He was doing his best, but I said, I'm like, Bob, please do not burn the candle at both ends. At
Don't.
every end is
It's
what I
a
said.
bad idea.
This whole episode is people making bad decisions.
Pretty much. It very much is that, but I love that he finally gets, like, his chef coat, and he meets
Yes, I was so proud he got his chef's whites.
and it was so cute, and then they were like, "Let's put cheese on it."
Yes. Why is there cheese? But, like, okay, so the thing with them with Louise coming to the conclusion that Joel did all of this, I think now, having watched the episode, and it turns out that he was telling the truth, and it really was an actual admiral. Like, that's giving Joel, I think, a little too much credit.
He's not that smart.
No.
So, it's an interesting episode, though, when you really look at it. Like,
Yeah.
Tina doing it because she wants to believe that maybe, she has a possibility with Jimmy Jr., which will be a constant freaking plot point throughout this entire show.
I've just resigned myself to that fact of I'm just gonna watch her again make bad decisions when it comes to Jimmy Jr. because he only wants her when someone else wants her, and then she can't make up her mind, and so then no one ends up happy.
No one does. And I mean, except for Jimmy Jr., because he doesn't care.
Yeah, he doesn't care. He just wants to dance badly.
So, so badly.
He's because, like, I hesitate to say I like him less than his father, but we see him more often.
We do. But I mean,
So, like, my hatred, like, even like Andy and Ollie are just like, please go away. Like, I hate Jimmy Pesto, but like, I think I hate his children more because we see more of them.
and we don't even see Andy and Ollie that often. But when we do, you're just kind of like, can we
Like,
not do
go
this?
away, please.
It's their voices, man. I just,
It really, it's the Silverman sisters. That's what it is.
it is. It's because it's the Silverman sisters.
I, it's just, it's. I mean, okay, it's the voice and it's also the characters. Like
Hmm.
the voice. That's one thing of the voice and the character really, really match.
So very, very well.
So it's yeah, it's unfortunate.
But I mean, we get by because we don't have to see them every single episode.
Yeah.
And I think this is what kind of feeds into people always trying to be like shipping Tina with different characters, because you can't
Hmm.
help but like really hate Jimmy Jr.
Hmm.
because he's not good for her in the
Like
slightest.
I understand the shipping her with Zeke. Like I'm firm in my stance of these are children. I
Yes.
don't care if they're animated. I don't care if they're voiced by adults. The characters are children. The aging them up for the case of shipping and fan art and everything still makes me feel icky, but I at least get that one.
Mhm. I do
Like
understand
he
that.
like Zeke has surprisingly grown on me
Right?
because he is like he's a he's a 13-year-old boy. He's what you expect out of a 13-year-old boy, but he's got such integrity and kindness and respect for other people
Mhm.
that I didn't see coming. Like the first time we met him was in the Belchies, right?
I wanna say yes.
Yeah, like in that, I remember in that one, I was like, "Who is this? Why are we seeing this kid?" And like now, I'm like, I like when I see him because like usually like it's a nice dichotomy of him doing something ridiculous,
Mhm.
but also still like being respectful of his fellow children and friends,
Except
and
for the
like just
Mad
make
Cooper.
except for the Mad Pooper. But to be fair, he wanted no, but so like he will at first the first couple times it was an accident, but then he was doing it. Like he was giving Tina an excuse to continue to report on it.
He was still trying to like do something gross and nice at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, he was still trying to poop on people in an assembly, but he
Yeah,
was doing it.
Zeke
He was
is
trying to help
a
out Tina.
it's
He
Zeke, man.
Zeke is an enigma.
Truly.
He he is he's Patrick Star.
And then you have, the other guy from the other school. I can't remember his name right now.
Oh, the dance school
The
guy.
dance school guy that he pops in here and there at times.
Hmm.
We've watched that episode, right? The one where Jimmy
Well, yeah,
Jr. That's when Jimmy Jr. gets jealous.
yeah, they have the dance off, and she tries to make it polyamory, and they go, "Nah, I'm okay." Which
Yeah.
healthy boundaries. It's perfectly fine.
She shot her shot. She was like,
She tried,
I want both.
but sometimes friend fiction just can't be reality.
It's the fact that she writes erotic friend fiction. It's like Tina,
That's
baby.
yeah, that's in the same thing. I mean, she's 13, and there's some things they're canon events, they cannot be stopped. But it's when once the erotic aspect is involved, maybe we take the self insert and the real people out of it.
Just a little bit.
Yeah, like the self insert stuff with. I mean, again, I read the fan fiction that I read. I usually don't do self insert stuff or stuff that's like your name, like the stuff that's just
Hmm.
Y/N. I don't really do a lot of that. That's not. I don't care for that. I like to read this through the lens of the other characters. It's a personal thing, but also we've established don't care for real person fiction either. because
No.
they're real people. And I figured out, I don't know if I've said this, I figured out why
Why?
RPF bothers me so much. Because it's that ideology of, I mean, like, it's again, it's, and especially when people include the actors in it, because they're, insisting that the actors are together when they're not. Like, they're
Mhm.
just living their lives doing the thing. When I was in middle school and I was in like our homeroom thing that we had, we called it advisory. Our advisory was always a group of each grades. There was some sixth graders, seventh graders, and eighth graders. And this happened throughout the entirety of the time that I was in middle school in this one homeroom. And it was me and this other kid. And everyone in the advisory, even our teacher, like kind of insisted that we must like each other. The way we interact, we must like each other. And to the point where like we just like, should we just try and tell them it didn't work? Like that happened the first time, and we dated briefly in every year of middle school, basically because of that insistence. That's why RPF bothers me,
That's
because
gross.
we really didn't have any inclination. Not my teacher's best moment,
That's
I
so
will say.
that's so gross. I'm sorry. Like, I'm not even sorry. That's ew.
So it was mostly the other kids in our group, but still, it's just the fact of it's them insisting that we must like each other because the way we're interacting, like we're just talking. I don't really know what you want out of this.
Kids can
So
just
that's
be
why
friends.
they can be friends, and like we just talked. And sometimes it was friendly, sometimes it was bantery. I think they weren't used. I think at that point, because we were still like young, like because sixth grade we were like 11 or so. You're not always used to seeing people of the opposite sex that can banter and kind of go back and forth like the way we did, like with sarcastic comments or jokes or whatever, like digs, whatever.
Mhm.
You don't see that very often in a platonic sense at that age.
I don't
At
know.
least you're not.
And like I had friendships like that myself, but I was a tomboy.
But like I think it's something like we're not used to, like
Yeah.
especially because my school, like I would say a lot of the time girls hung out with girls and boys hung out with boys. Like that was so like once you see us all together interacting, that's when kids are like, "Oh, you must like each other," because that's what you see on TV is they banter, they fight, whatever, they kiss, they fall in love, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And in our case, no, that was not. It was not meant to be for a lot of reasons.
And I'd like to just point out, if the little boy's mean to you, it does not mean he likes you.
The biggest thing is he wasn't even successfully mean to me because I
No,
would
no,
just
I'm just
dish.
saying in general,
No, I
because
know,
like
I know.
kids
It's
are
for
always told
everyone.
that, like,
You
oh,
know,
they're
I
mean to
know.
you, they must like you. No, no.
In my case, I was mean to him right back.
There you go. Be mean back. That's the lesson that we have here. Just be mean
That's the
back.
moral of the
The
story.
moral of the story. And that Jimmy Jr. is just a little piece of shit
Yes, he
because
is.
he annoys the ever living God. I think
Mm-hmm.
like they tend to like try to redeem him sometimes too, and it makes me so angry because I'm just like he keeps just like pushing her off,
Yeah.
and he was her first kiss.
That's my thing is like every time they try and make it seem like he now wants her, it's always because someone else wants her. And I'm like,
Mhm.
dude, you had your chance. You had a million chances in every other episode of this TV show.
Oh well, we know how we feel. So what
I have
did
strong feelings.
you? You have strong feelings about a 13-year
I
old
always have strong,
boy.
an animated one at least. So I gave this one eights for plot and character because quite
Okay.
frankly, I like as I'm like no, don't catfish the admiral, but like I liked even the fact that they tied in together his burning the candle at both ends of
Hmm.
gave him the chef whites that could be used for this outfit. Like it all came together in the end. So I liked, and everyone's pulling together to help Tina with this ruse that they think they have to put on. I liked just family togetherness. And I gave it a 9 for personal because quite frankly it was just fun to watch. So I gave this one 25.
Wow, I love that.
Yeah. Hmm.
I gave this nines across the board for
Nice.
27 because it really is enjoyable to watch. And then I
Yeah.
get to kind of be like, I know people like this watching like the restaurant side of it because
Yeah.
I've spent a very large portion of my life and continue to do so in restaurants. And this
Hmm.
is very much how a lot of them are because
Yeah.
there's a lot of adrenaline, I will say too. After you've
Hmm.
worked like a really hard shift nonstop, there is so much
Oh.
adrenaline. Like the amount of nights I would do that. I'd be up since
Hmm.
like 6, 7 o'clock in the morning with my kid. But I have childcare at night when I went to work, and I'd be up all day, get taking care of everything, then be at work by 4, work a really hard shift, and then it'd be like 11 o'clock at night, and I'm like, let's go out. I wouldn't get home till like 2 a.m. and then turn around and do it all over again.
Hmm.
Like I was that person burning the candle at both ends for a long time, but I was 22,
Yeah, that's a
so
little different.
it's a
Like
little
Bob is
different.
40.
I
at
was
least.
able to do it at that age. Now, if I tried to,
Mhm.
like, I'll have people like, "We're all gonna go." I'm like, "I love you guys. My bed is calling my name. It's 11 o'clock at night. Nope."
Well, again, I was on the phone with my grandmother at one point, and it was a Saturday night. I had been out the
Mhm.
entire day, but I came back, and it's like, "Oh, you gonna go out?" And I went, "Why would I do that at 7:45?
Right? You reach an age that you're just like,
I'm good."
I'm good.
Thank you all for listening. Join us next time when we discuss Once Upon a Time, episode 314, The Tower. Don't forget to like, rate, and follow the podcast wherever you listen so you can be notified every time we publish a new episode. Follow us at OBDYK_pod on Instagram and TikTok. And if you'd like to join our Patreon, you can find the link with more details in our show notes.
This has been an episode of Okay, But Did You Know? A TV and media podcast. It was hosted by Katie and Lauren and edited by Katie.